Hey, Nick Robinson here, and today I'm going to be showing you 30 minutes of hands-on gameplay from my time with Majora's Mask 3D. Now, this is a game that I've been hugely excited for ever since it got announced a couple months back. Here is my video reacting to the announcement and sort of going over how it got made. And it's an amazing game. Most of my session that I've played so far was on the brand new 3DS XL, which I got to mess with. So if you want to see an unboxing of the new 3DS XL that comes out next month alongside this game, you can click there. But yeah, enough promotion. Let's get right into the gameplay. The game, what I'm going to show you first, I guess, is just sort of the game from the beginning. So I'm going to be starting a brand new save file and just taking a look at a big old chunk of it. First, I'm going to spell my name wrong, and then I'm going to take a look at a big chunk of Majora's Mask. Now, I'm going to be jumping around a little bit, just sort of to expedite it and make sure that I'm showing as much as possible in the time I've got here. One interesting thing to note, the game does support the Circle Pad Pro, so if you happen to be playing the game without a new 3DS, but you still want the free camera control, you can plug in a Circle Pad Pro, and you have that option. I'm going to be quiet for a second, because these cutscenes are excellent. Yeah, kind of a rough start for Link in this game. I'd actually kind of forgotten. It'd been about 13 or 14 years, honestly, since I last played Majora's Mask. I jumped ahead a little bit here to some of the very first platforming you do. I love all the different jump animations that he has in this game, just to mix it up from Ocarina of Time. But yeah, just like, I had actually forgotten, like, how completely dark this game is from start to finish. He gets his horse startled, he gets robbed, he gets his ocarina taken from him, then Skull Kid. I don't know. I don't want to give it away. You'll see in a second. But yeah, just it's easy to forget like what a dark, like bummer of a journey this whole game is from start to finish. Yeah, pretty pivotal scene here. as if getting all his stuff stolen and getting dragged around by his own horse, it wasn't enough, Skull Kid immediately implies that he murdered Link's horse and then turns him into a Deku Scrub. That is a rough combination of events. And it's really, like, I do recommend, if you haven't recently, go back and look at what Majora's Mask really looks like, especially these early scenes, because the comparison is unreal. Every single element of this game has really been remastered and reapproached here. Every texture, the way the fairies look, obviously, is hugely different, just like it was in Ocarina of Time 3D. Yeah, so many little details. Something I had kind of forgotten about is the way Tattle talks and her whole tone of voice and her huge, like, sort of personality shift over the course of the game. She starts off being really cruel to you and just kind of pivots. And I jumped ahead here to this scene. It's kind of the first bit of platforming you do with these shrubs, just because that line from that tree stump there is so perfectly sets the tone for the rest of the game. But yeah. Another very iconic scene coming up here. I really, truly do believe this is, like, one of, if not the best video game soundtracks of all time. Another thing to note, the Sheikah Stones from Ocarina of Time 3D are back, so those sort of hint-dropping, that's one of the many hint-dropping systems in this game. Yeah, there's that classic line. But yeah, like I was saying, just like it's funny, you can look at this game, I think it's really easy to look at this game, just like Ocarina of Time 3D before it, and think that this is what the game looked like originally, but it's really not, and what's actually happening here is that, in my opinion, these games, these 3D remakes, do a really great job of looking like you remember the games looking. So one really major change in the game here that you're looking at here is the Bomber's Notebook. Now, the Bomber's Notebook existed in the original Majora's Mask, but it was not nearly as robust as it is here. In this game, it's got every single quest, not to mention a schedule to find the individual people you need to find to accomplish those quests. There is also the ability to pull up on a map what location you need to go for that quest, and best of all, I think, set alarms for yourself with the touchscreen on the bottom to remind you when an event is coming up. And there's a lot of little tweaks like that that just really change the flow of the game. I'm going to go ahead and mess with this terrier here. That's a really great way to start the game, by the way, is just getting tackled by a small dog. That's kind of appropriate, I feel like. Sets the tone well. But even that dog, like, he looks far cuter than he did in the original one. But yeah, just in terms of, like, other small changes, you'll see the save system here in a little bit. That's one really big change. Instead of there being these sort of multiple tiered save systems like there were in Majora's Mask that had like one-time use saves, there are these owl statues / feather statues, and it just works. They all work the same way. So by using one of those statues, you can save at any time. It's a permanent save. It doesn't go away, and they are also used for fast travel. And there are actually more of them. They've littered a lot more of the owl and feather statues around Termina to sort of let you quickly jump around the world rather than there just being a few of them like there were in the original Majora's Mask. One other really major tweak is the Song of Double Time. So in the original version of Majora's Mask, the Song of Double Time would let you speed up time, like say you're trying to meet the postman or a certain character at a certain time, but you could only really jump in these 12-hour preset increments between like 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. on any of the given days. Now the way the Song of Double Time works is that you can jump ahead to any hour, any given hour on the day that you're in, which is super convenient. And you'll notice here that I keep stopping and getting distracted, even Tattle is yelling at me for it, just by how unbelievably detailed the world is. There's just so many little posters in Clock Town they just add so much to this universe. There's a ton of stuff to explore and take in that in the original game would have been just a bit too blurry to really make any sense of. So yeah, that's the save system. As you can see, it's super quick, and just seems designed to make this a good portable experience, which the original Majora's Mask, frankly, would not have been. Is just like, to me personally, as a huge fan of the original, it's stunning to like see Clock Town realize this fully. Like it just seems a little bit more vibrant and a little bit less blurry, I guess, for lack of a better word, and that adds so much to the experience. Something you can't really see here that also adds to the experience is obviously the 3D effect, which I think is definitely improved on the new 3DS. It's not as much of a struggle to get it to work, obviously, as it used to be, and there's just a really excellent sense of depth. I to this day, I think Ocarina of Time 3D had the best 3D of any 3DS game, and this seems to rival it. Like, this feels just as good as it did in OOT. So I'm going off the beaten path here a little bit to sort of explore the Stockpot Inn, and really, like, in all the time I spent playing this game, and I spent a couple of hours yesterday playing Majora's Mask 3D, I really wasn't able to find any area that wasn't absurdly detailed. Like, any building I walked into, anywhere in Termina I ventured, if I walked into a building, there would be posters everywhere, people to talk to, and just everything, from the faces to the environments, just everything looks just really gorgeous. Look at that, there's some boxers on that bunk bed there. There's a lot of little things to take in. One thing I also really like is having the real-time, well, not real-time, but the game timer at the bottom of the top screen at all times, just to give you a very sort of permanent sense of your progress. They've managed to retain that while also making it small enough that you can totally ignore it and zone it out if you need to. So jumping ahead a bit here, won't let me into his club until I pop that balloon. And then the most important character in the history of Zelda, your boy Tingle. Talking about being 35, making like sort of vague references to his father, which definitely comes up later. Went ahead and bought a map from him. Yeah, dude, I know how to use maps. You don't have to tell me. Tingle Tingle Kulu Limpa! Those are the magic words that he created himself. All rights reserved. Copyright Tingle 2015. But yeah, we are going to go ahead and press forward here and get up to the Great Fairy. Or try, only to discover that she has been chopped up a little bit here. An example of one of those things that just looks far better in this sort of new remastered version than it ever did in the original. You could sort of make out the faces on these sort of fairy pieces in the original game, but I went ahead and got in first person here so you could really just take in like those goofy like smooch chew lips that they've got going on. It seems like in this demo, every single time I stopped and tried to take in the environment, Tattle would just yell at me for taking my time. But like, look at that! That's a great example. The spin attack that the Deku Scrublink has. Like, now you see the tip of his hat turn to a wood, like a much more clearly, like just all these little visual tweaks that just help bring it to life, I feel like. So there it is. And I tried to make my sort of jumps, because I am jumping around a lot through the power of editing. I tried to make it as seamless as possible here, but here is the the one broken fairy piece that I needed. And in this run, I do happen to witness a mugging. A lot of people stealing stuff in the opening hour of Majora's Mask. I'd kind of forgotten how much crime there is in Termina. But I guess the version of Link that I play is a selfish one who just ignores it and goes on with his quest. Another thing I forgot is how horrifying the Great Fairy's scream is. It is just a pure shriek in Majora's Mask. In hindsight, the Great Fairies in Majora's Mask are pretty naked for an E-rated game. And actually, one thing to note is that Majora's Mask 3D is no longer rated E like it was in the year 2000. The ESRB has rated it E10, which, in fairness, is a rating that didn't exist back then. But yeah. I always felt like this game was a weird, it was kind of a hard E in a lot of ways, because just the amount of despair and violence and tragedy, you may have forgotten, but the scene that happens at the end of day 3, this sort of apocalyptic scene, if you let yourself run out of time, is super dark, just like everything in this game. But I guess the ESRB doesn't really rate games based on sadness levels, it's really more about content, so. But yeah, now that I got my magic back, I'm going to do one last thing in this run, which is attack these shrubs, I guess, and then pop this balloon. Complete my quest here. I didn't necessarily need to pop Tingle's bubble, but something you'll come to learn in this video is that I am a big Tingle enthusiast. Oh, and Tingle's re-inflating in the background. And that right there is gonna be where I call it quits for the brand new fresh save in Majora's Mask. But yesterday I also had access to a basically 100% complete or near complete save of Majora's Mask where I could just kind of mess with it and do whatever I wanted. So one thing I felt like I had to check out was to see the new textures of the masks on the Happy Mask Salesman. And as you'd expect, they are cleaned up. They are more geometric than they once were. Mario now has a nose that protrudes a bit. The M on his hat looks nicer. But yeah, had to check that out at least once. So, but yeah, and in this save, since we progressed a lot further, we can now check out the Sheikah Stones. And the way that they work is basically identical to how they worked in Ocarina of Time 3D if you played that game, which is you can sort of spend. I think it's going to be the same coins that you used in Ocarina of Time 3D, the ones that you just earn by moving your 3DS around, and you can spend these to get either hint videos for certain quests that you're working on, like these ones here, just to remind you where you need to go next, which is in a game that, like Majora's Mask, which is probably one of the least linear Zeldas ever, is super helpful. But you can also get, hint photos as to finding, heart containers and stuff like that. There's kind of a lot of options. One thing that I really enjoyed while getting to play this game was just how great every item looks, and obviously how great all of the Happy Masks look. So, you equip them just the way you equipped items in the 3DS games. You can kind of see me dragging them here, but I also just wanted to really quickly move through them and just get a good look at how much they've really brought these masks to life and made them so much cleaner and clearer, and they look beautiful in this game. And But, of course, the masks that matter most are the transformation masks. The Goron, Zora, and Deku Scrub masks. So we're gonna spend some time with each of those here. So yeah, let's jump ahead one more time and go ahead and... Oh, he's gonna confront me. I love this conversation right here. It was wrong with me to treat you like a child. Just a small man. Yeah, that transformation was probably traumatic to some of you as a child, as it was to me. Of course, I remembered right away that what you want to be in Termina Field is not the Deku Scrub, but the Goron. I want to see this animation too. Ugh, his teeth, dude. Alrighty, let's get rolling. It's funny, like, even though I hadn't played this game in over a decade, how much muscle memory just completely kicks in. You feel like you're at home again. So immediately, I started rolling, and then started holding forward on the stick to use magic to get all spiky and fast, and hitting jumps, and all that kind of stuff. And I love the way, I had kind of forgotten, but the way that the Goron controls when it's rolled up is so great. Like, I can kind of do this sweet little drift here, and I wind up fighting a Dodongo. Termina just is such a special world, and like such a unique open world, so different from Hyrule. It feels great to spend any amount of time there again. Another great detail that I'd forgotten about is the way that Goron Link attacks, his 3-punch combo. So it is not just 2 punches, it is 2 punches and then a butt slam. So I think that's actually what I finished this dude off with here. Boom, hit him with a butt slam to death. And then it took me a second to remember that he's about to blow up, so I started running away. But, yeah. A bunch of rupees. This is something that I think I talked about in the video that I linked at the beginning of this video, but this is a game that I never really thought was going to happen. I wanted it so badly. This is my favorite Zelda game by far, but I didn't know if the demand was there. I didn't know if the world was as fond of Majora's Mask as me and my friends were, and I guess the answer is yes, because this game exists now and is a fully fledged game that, like, has a ton of marketing behind it. It's getting its own special edition DS. That makes me really happy. I forgot that you can't punch those fools either, so I'm gonna take off the mask. Get this sword out. Whoops. I was definitely trying to read that sign and missed a little bit. Don't tell me about this bad bat. I really love Tattle's voice, just like narratively. Like, she's so much sassier than Navi, I feel like, in a lot of ways. And her relationship with Link is much more antagonistic, which I think kind of extends to all of what's going on in Majora's Mask. The whole world is much more antagonistic, except for the one shining beacon of hope, which is Tingle here. So because we are on this much later in the game save, I do have the Pictobox, so I can use it to, of course, snap some real beautiful photos of your boy Tingle here. Gotta time it just right. Yeah, there you go. That's a good picture. Professor Oak would not give me many points for that one because his eyes were definitely shut. Yep. These are terrible pictures. Although I do remember taking the opportunity here to snap a real quick butt pic of Tingle before moving on. Oh yeah, here's another example of just great environmental storytelling in another area in the game that I found where the attention to detail in this port, or not even port, but remaster, really shines. So this character, who, I don't want to spoil it for you if you haven't played it, but he has an interesting relationship to Tingle. This hut is, like, far more detailed than it ever was. And I actually switched to the Goron just so I can be taller, because I want to get a better angle on some of the details here. And I am moving around with the gyroscope, you'll notice, which is much easier to do in this game than it ever was in Ocarina of Time, in large part because on the new 3DS, the 3D tracks to your eyes, and you don't have to be lined up perfectly at all times. Now, one thing I should note, well, first let's look at these photos. Parrot, and then a muscular man standing next to a small green man with some sort of balloon coming out of his back. And again, a nice touch, a nice little thing that they've added in here. And then there's sort of this map of the swamp and this clock and just like, it's just incredible to me. Like, I feel like a sort of a broken record here, but there is really no asset of this game that has gone unturned. But yeah, one thing I should note, the device I captured this on was actually a classic 3DS XL, and we are coming to the to nighttime here, which means that I wasn't really able in the footage you're watching to mess with the C-stick, which is why the camera is pretty much locked behind Link at all times, Ocarina of Time 3D style, and I'm moving the camera with the L button instead of with the stick. But if you are using a circle pad or a new 3DS, you'll be able to use that C-stick to kind of spin the camera in full 3D, instead of having to kind of cheat to look at things in the environment with the first-person mode and using L targeting. So yeah. I love the way that animation looks now. They went to great lengths to just make everything more beautiful. The load times also are just impeccably short because it's all on a tiny little cartridge, and it's 2015 now. And I did notice when I broke all those pots at once, just the teeniest hint of slowdown, but that's kind of the only time in the entire demo where I ever noticed anything like that. Not 100% sure why I pulled out the Great Fairy's Mask there. Oh, okay, I think I missed. There we go. And this was another situation where I had forgotten how to deal with this. But, like, look how, like, even when you get this close, the faces still look, I think, very good. Especially when you consider that they're only animating as much and as often as they were in the original N64 game. So let me pull this guitar, play that bossa nova. Boom, boom, boom. Alrighty, let's hop on the turtle here. Slightly out of range there. Alright, there we go. Yeah, it's probably obvious from the way I'm gushing over every detail here, but golly, like, even the Turtle Island looks fantastic. Just, this, I feel like in so many ways this game feels like it was made for me, and in reality that's not far off, right? Because it was made for the people like me who probably played this game when they were young, when they were in their very early teens, and loved it. And I do hope, though, a little bit that there are people who are playing this for the first time and discover what, like, a unique game Majora's Mask is, because there really hasn't been a game quite like it ever since. So as you might expect, you can go back to completed dungeons and re-tackle the boss battles if you like, and so let me just go ahead and hop down here. Before I do that, though, pausing and looking at my bomber notebook. Yeah, one of the things I loved most about Ocarina of Time 3D was the way the bosses looked, and that extends to this game too. They just look fantastic. Even the water, like, the water looks great now. And while I'm not really allowed to show you any strategies on how to beat these bosses, I just wanted to show you how detailed some of the textures are, like that eye, for example. Just so haunting. But yeah, that's actually all the time I've got. That is a full half hour of Majora's Mask 3D. It flew by for me. I don't know about for you. But yeah, if you enjoyed that, definitely the best way to show it is to subscribe. I do videos on all sorts of Nintendo and non-Nintendo stuff, anime, other video games. I've also got this unboxing of the new 3DS if you'd like to see that. But yeah, this is not the end of my coverage of Majora's Mask 3D by a long shot. Expect a full review of it closer to its release date in February. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I've really appreciated your viewership thus far, and yeah, I sound like I'm caffeinated. It's 4 a.m. I gotta go to bed and upload this video. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. I will see you next time. See ya.